Hello and welcome. I am Dogbert back again with DC Worlds Collide. And right now in this video, I want to address an issue I keep seeing coming up over and over and over again on Discord and people just wondering. And the question is, what team should I build? The answer is there is no one team you should build. There's different characters you build and you make teams out of them. The other thing that comes coming up is tier list. Oh, who's on the tier list? Well, the tier list has some things you need to keep in mind, but here's another thing you need to keep in mind. Characters change as they level. So at lower levels, like where most of us are at, unless you spent a lot of money and actually can spend money, your characters are going to act much differently than a fully maxed out character, especially when we talk about things like badges. And there's things coming down the road that we don't have back in the game yet, like artifacts that make another huge difference in the way you play this game. And I already mentioned badges and how characters go up with star level. That also affects them too because of their skills and everything. So that's the short answer. Now let's go over some of the teams you can actually make. Alright, I'm going to start with my own roster. Now, probably the best character in the game currently is Wonder Woman, so if you're looking for a legendary to pick, out of those first three, always pick Wonder Woman. Flash is a good, okay number 2, and then finally Superman. Fortunately, he's just not good. He would be part of a burn team. Now, like I said, there's no real cookie cutters, but there are some teams you can put together. A burn team would consist of Superman, Superboy. I don't have her, but Firestar, I think was her name. Let's go into the archive. We can look there a little bit easier of who she was or is. I believe she's an epic. Yep, Starfire. That's her name. I forgot her name. Starfire. So that is a character that would be a part of a burn team. They're looking to put burn out there. Now, those are 3 characters. You need 5. It really just comes down to you usually only need like 3 characters and then 2 other plug and play characters, depending on the team's composition. There's, of course, that new block team out there that uses like the Blue Beetle, Ocean Master, and Nightwing. Very tanky team. You have things like Star Sapphire Carol. She was actually part of a heal team of Martian Manhunter, and I forget who else it was. But that team really never came together. If you have Poison Ivy and Scarecrow here, that is your basics for a poison team, along with Penguin as a tank, would be your 3 there that you then build around. There's Penguin to make that team. Another team that we don't have right now because we need Sinestro, and you also kind of need Raven for. That's a debuff team. You throw Grodd on there along with Raven and Sinestro. You're looking to put out a bunch of debuffs, and the nice thing about that team is you can plug and play a lot of different characters. A lot of characters do debuffs. Don't forget Green Arrow to throw out some Frost. Superman, for instance, there's a Burn and Frost. So there's just a couple examples of characters that could easily plug and play in there. Don't know much about Supergirl yet. Green Lantern Hal, Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor, very good plug and play tank, but Green Lantern Hal would do well, always does well with him. More of a shielding team, along with Green Lantern Jessica. She's back here somewhere. I have her. There she is. That's the kind of team that those 3 would work on as the shield team because they want to give each other shields. So characters like that would go together. But like I said, you don't just build one team. Like I said, you want to mix and match as you need to. Characters you're going to be plugging in a lot are going to be like a Wonder Woman. A Lex Luthor has a tank. If you're doing AoE crit, then you're going to add in a Green Arrow to go with Wonder Woman sometimes. You need a more survivable DPS. You'd want a Green Lantern Hal type figure. Another character you can add in is Santana because she gives lifesteal. She really works really well with an AoE team like that. And if you don't have Wonder Woman, Constantine works as well. If you need a single burst target type of team or a tank killer, That is Batman's job right there. He's very good at being a tank killer. If you need to kill somebody in the back right away, you'd go after more of a Robin right here, which also brings up the other stories when you're talking about a Batman and a Robin here, is that then the opposite remains true. If you're going against these, realize that Batman and Robin are going to be single target burst. Batman for the tanks, this Robin more for the DPS. I know there's one campaign level where there's a big Robin like this who you can just one shot your DPS. You actually have to move your tanks, a tank to the back row to take that hit in order to survive. So that's one of those things where you have to really think these things through. This is not a cookie cutter type game. This is more of a build, here's 3 characters, build else around them, or just plug and play a team around them, period. Because not everything is based off of arena. There's multiple game modes that you're going to have to think and mix and match as you go forward. You need a healer. Kid Flash is probably your best single healer there is. Because not only does he heal, he also speeds you up when you use that ultimate once you get it ranked up enough. And look at the skill. Yeah, there you go. He heals. He progresses target's action bar 70%. So that's actually a speed up there. You have to get him ranked up to that. He's giving out haste as well in his basic. That's a speed up. He can give allies recuperate, extra healing, things like that. And it just goes to show you how characters can change as they can level up as well. Nightwing's a very good example of a character who needs a lot of leveling to get his blocks, to get his skills up. Increases, the due to stuns, but, getting firm stand to the back row is huge. Front row, sorry. Of course, the big thing with him is block. You want to get these up, but eventually then you want to get his badge up here, which I don't have yet. The badges make a very big difference in this character as well. They make him very tanky, but at low levels, he's kind of going to suck. Honestly, at this level, he sucks. But at high levels, he's quite good. So this is, again, where you're going to have to look at it. Like, I know the character we've been talking about a lot, about he sucks. Well, it's not that he really sucks. It's just you got to know when to use him. He's actually quite tanky at lower levels. At higher levels, he's going to drop off. But if you were crazy enough and actually had the resources to put into his badge here, you can see at the start of the battle, he could immediately get his ultimate at no cost that first time, which could be useful against a big Batman type character who's doing a lot of single burst damage to this character, and he can survive. But he's actually quite tanky. He can put some damage out with that if he takes a lot of damage from that single burst character, but that's what he's used for. But once you get into that kind of investment, by that time you'd put things into like a Nightwing, or obviously Lex Luthor. Even Grodd's quite good. If you have Bane, he's quite good. I don't know too much about Vixen yet. Haven't got a chance to look at her. And honestly, the first characters you put badges in are like a Wonder Woman or Green Arrow, depending on what you have. Lex Luthor, his badge is quite good. Penguin becomes a great tank once you get him that badge and get that going, but he needs his badge again in order to really see the DPS. Constantine remains a good DPS, but at later levels, the lifesteal, the damage to self really starts hurting, and he kind of drops off a little bit in the damage at higher end. And if we get Killer Frost back, and she doesn't get nerfed or anything like that, she'll be definitely in the running. I always said Killer Frost was even better than Wonder Woman as far as the best character in the game went. But that's all a matter of opinion, honestly. A lot of people had Green Arrow up there, but honestly, Wonder Woman does outdo him. And Hal's a very good character. This is another character that really needs his badge to get up high, because he starts doing more and more additional damages. Instances of damage, which makes his damage just go through the roof with it. But at lower levels, he's a good survivable DPS, but he's not going to rival Wonder Woman at this point. Even though I have him at a little bit lower level, doesn't really matter. And there's other characters that are okay at lower levels, like a Red Hood. He kind of drops off at later levels. Jessica's is always middle of the road, doesn't really change too much. Batman can be very good at later levels too. Like I said, to get through a big tank or something you need to get through. Lex Luthor always good, Wonder Woman always good. Those are just some examples. Superboy really never finds his niche. The Burn Team just isn't good. Black Canary has her usefulness. Santana, like I said, has her usefulness. Most of these purples really don't have much use out of them, to be honest with you. Occasionally you'll find a niche for the Poison Team, like Scarecrow or Captain Cold or Mr. Freeze at one point was really good when he was bugged. But those are some examples of teams that you need to put together. You need to know how these characters all can work together, like I said, and put together teams as you need, because when you look at something outside of this elite arena, don't forget you're going to be putting together 3 different teams, which you got to put together somewhat in order, somewhat like that. I have to fix this yet. But those teams are going to have to be somewhat balanced, somewhat work together to put up 3 different teams. And then when you start talking things like convergence, now you have to break them up with red, blue, green, villains and heroes up here. You're going to have to know how these characters could work, how you can put some teams together to get through that. Crisis Watch, there's definitely some different puzzles here when we're going against the different, the current week, whatever it is. Some other characters you all of a sudden have to use, like some of those purple characters. I forget, there's one in here you have to really use, like Bane and stuff like that. You really need knockback, or you need some kind of special ability. I remember Captain Boomerang was actually blue was actually used at one point in one of these challenges. So we'll have to see how that goes. Of course, you have Evil Falls. You have these different characters, like these 2 are very good single target ones. You need a little bit of AoE for this guy. I think AoE for this guy too. Forget what the other 2. You get the idea of what you need. So there's no one team, sorry, but you're going to have to learn the teams and learn who works together and how to just plug and play and figure out the puzzle that you're up against, especially when you talk about the main stages and eventually in system recoveries, of who just really works well together and why they work well together and what their jobs are. Because one time they could be great against one team and bad against another. So I hope that gives you a little bit of help and understanding and thinking about how the characters might be ranked on a tier list on max investment, but don't work for you at lower levels because they need certain things. They get better with those characters. So I hope I didn't ramble too much about this and hope you understand it. Till next time, everybody.